Welcome to the Jazzcat Experience. I'm Tony Oliver. I'm going to be your MC for the rest of at least this little part of it. And we've just heard the main character of the story of Cowboy Bebop, but we do need a crew, don't we? What? You guys ready to be the crew? All right, first up. She plays the voice of the incomparable, semi-androgynous, very hyperactive person, the voice of Radical Ed, Melissa Fahn. Then we have the big man with a lot of grumble, weird sideburns, and a big heart, the voice of Jet, Beau Billingslea. Next up, she's sexy, she's dangerous, she can't be trusted, but you can't get enough of her. The voice of Faye, Wendy Lee. All right, next up, perhaps the coolest voice for the coolest character ever conceived of anime, the voice of Spike himself, Steve Blum. And finally, the true captain of the ship, the person who put the blood, sweat, and tears, directed, kept this show, and made it what it is, the director and voice actor of a lot of different roles of Cowboy Bebop, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. Okay, so it's been a while. Look, you guys don't appear often together, do you? This is kind of a big deal.
No, we all live together.
Y'all live together, okay. The action are on the ship, Bebop is okay. So I have a general question for all of you. The show has been acclaimed, outstanding since it came out. It was named to the top 250 all-time anime for IMDb, and in most surveys, second only to Evangelion as the greatest show of all time. What's it mean to you personally that after 15 years, this is still such an acclaimed, and we're actually sitting here in this great event doing this? What does this mean personally to you?
This is, okay, I'll go. This is just unbelievable. We did the series in '98.
Yeah.
2016, we're still here. Because of you guys, right? Nothing any better than that.
Yeah, for me, it carries a lot more weight, actually.
All right, Spike, don't start. All right, I'll put beef in it then. Okay.
Not only have we all kind of grown up together in this industry, and it's so amazing that you guys have come along for the ride with us, but 17 years ago, I don't do math, so forgive me that. We had no idea that this was going to turn into what it is. And an even bigger revelation for me was that Mary was my director on that. This was my first leading role. This was her first directing role. Yeah. And 17 years later, my Julia has become my partner in life, which is really...
That's unbelievable. Wendy, I got a question for you, because Faye to me is one of the most fascinating characters in the show, because I can't quite get my fingers on who she is. So, you know, she's, Spike sees her as a manipulator, kind of clever manipulator. Jet is kind of, you're just troublesome, but you need help and need to be rescued. What does Faye see herself, and what do you see Faye as?
Faye is an amalgam. She's a woman child trying to find her way as a survivor ultimately. I think she's very complex and that therefore has her hard shell exterior. And I think that ultimately she really is an amalgam of many kinds of women, and I think that's what makes the role so enticing and exciting and interesting to re-engage with at any time. But I just think that she's mysterious enough and bright enough and sexy enough and smart enough and cunning to constantly keep everyone guessing. But ultimately, I do think that she's a woman in progress. And I think ultimately she has a beautiful story arc.
I agree, yeah, it is, especially my buddy Valentine's my favorite episode.
Exactly.
Beau, same kind of question. He's like a combination of a tough, grizzled guy and a jaded ex-cop, and he's, you know, also got this sense of justice and all this stuff. Was it tough keeping the balance between those two things?
Well, you know, we all have different aspects to who we are, right? And so the tough guy is also a vulnerable guy if he lets it come out. And the way Bebop is written, he can be very vulnerable. Even though he tries to hide it, he doesn't do a very good job of hiding it. When the gang leaves for Bebop and he's there alone and he's talking to Ein saying, I don't need them. What do I need them for? I'm glad they're gone. You know? But then he hears a noise and he thinks Spike is back. That you, Spike?
So you do love it.
So I do love it.
It's like the ultimate romance.
That's a romance. It's a romance. And of course, as far as all of those things that you said about Faye, I will add one thing. She's also a thief. And she stole the woolons from our safe and then took off. And then what does she do after she steals our money? She calls for help.
Yeah, she stole my wallet backstage.
So, Melissa, let's talk about Ed for a minute, because Ed to me is so enigmatic. You can't tell who or what. You know, it's female, but androgynous, silly and childlike, but really insightful, and smart and clever. Who is Ed really? What's she doing on Bebop, and what is she so damn happy about?
Come on, Ed is a kid. Ed has energy, and Ed is, you know, Ed too is complex, and I think that's the case for all of the characters. And I think they're all survivors, and that's why they find each other. And I think Ed is a child in a very adult world, and I mean, she's completely by herself out there. And I think, you know, she has to keep up with the tough guys. And, you know, I think she probably has the things that she needs to help her survive. And if it's to be happy and enigmatic and to have all that energy that bounces off the walls, that's what she does. But she also, you know, she has an incredible brain. She is a genius. And, you know, kids who are geniuses, you know, they've got a lot of energy. They've got a lot. And, you know, that's what she puts it into. And she, you know, she has to keep up with these guys, and she's got to keep up with all the tough guys out there. So, you know, she might be sweet and cute and funny, and that might be what you see as the character. But I think there's a lot more depth to Ed, and I think that was the beauty of how we worked, especially with Mary, who is my favorite director.
Mine too.
Yeah. And you know, we got it, babe. You know, we really had a chance to dig deep, and we had time. We always say that we had the luxury of time on this show. Most shows we go in, we knock it out, we're done. But this show, we were given some extra time to really delve into it, and that's why I believe. Sorry, that was my hands. That's why here we are so many years later, because we brought some depth and we brought some layers to these characters that you could have just kept one-dimensional, but this show is what it is because of the way it was created and the way it was drawn, and it wasn't just, a simple show. There's so much, complexity to it, and the characters have so much depth that, as joyful and fun as Ed was, it was also great to find the depth and the pain that makes her a survivor as well.
Speaking of that complexity, Spike is pretty darn complex. I mean, he's a nice guy and a gangster and all this stuff. But before I ask you that, I gotta ask you about the tattoo.
Oh, yes.
You have a tattoo on your arm.
This little tattoo here, this is the audio wave file for the word bang. And it was taken from the video, so it has the ambient stuff in the background. If this was playable, it looks exactly like it did in my Pro Tools. So I just took a picture of that, brought it to my tattoo artist, and I bled for this one too, because every one of those lines he went over 8 times. And yeah, because he wanted to make sure that it wouldn't run after a while, sort of mushes together in one thing.
You are hardcore.
Right? Well, that's something to learn.
You literally had bebop burned into your skin.
Exactly. So, side story to that is that the guy who did my tattoo, he's a percussion player, and he hadn't seen his buddy in a while. They're 2 tattoo artists, and they're very tribal guys. And when they get back together after not seeing each other for a while, they do this drum circle thing. I had just had this done, and they wanted me to sit down. They found out that I play, and we sat down and we played, and blood was literally squirting out. So yeah.
So you became a scene out of an anime.
I kind of did. I did. Lesson DNA.
Let me ask you the same question I kind of asked them about Spike, because he's again kind of back and forth. He's aloof, but he seems to have some sort of a moral compass, even though he doesn't always seem to say it. Given his story, he could have gone any direction. So is he a scoundrel? Really? Is that his core, or is he who the nice guy pushed through, or is he kind of nice guy who just has to do what he has to do to get by?
Why can't I do both? I think we all sort of tread that line of good and evil, and have to make choices throughout life. And Spike's life is very unique in that way, that he really could have gone either direction at any moment. And that's what makes him most interesting for me. And that's the most interesting kind of character for me to play. I think it's the kind of character who's really dangerous. You don't know if they're going to snap off the edge to the dark side. So I think that his defense mechanism in keeping sane was just that projection of being aloof. But I think there's a lot of other stuff going on inside, a lot of pain that he was pushing down. So that made it a really, really interesting path to walk.
Amazingly cool for being in such pain.
Yeah, well, you do what you can.
So, Barry, the storytelling style of the show was very different than what had been going on at the time, and it was almost, to me, it almost prescient of stories like the new Who, Doctor Who, which came out later, but it's got very similar kind of storytelling stuff. How did you keep from falling back into the anime tropes? Because the pressure is always to do the same silly thing that's always been done. How did you sort of, get away from that sort of thing? Or was that a decision that was made right up front?
Well, I think the show was so unique on so many levels. It was the first time I had seen storytelling told in sort of 3 different ways, all in one show. One through animation, through dialogue, and through music. The soundtrack for this series is unlike anything I've ever heard in my life, and I still listen to it all the time. So, yeah, right? Yoko Kanno is just a genius. He's an absolute genius. And you guys are amazing.
Right, give it up for these guys. Maybe try a sound check.
Whenever I work on anime, I always preview everything in Japanese, and I use the Japanese language as a soundtrack to influence however I want to direct, or however I want to, have a line delivered. But in this show, the soundtrack was so beautiful, and it was so all-encompassing. I mean, there's opera, there's jazz, there's funk, there's rock, there's everything. There's French, weird French, beautiful songs, and it was just so unique. I'd never seen anything like it, and it was something that I wanted to watch. So I wanted us to make something that we would all be really proud of and that we wanted to watch. I mean, the show was so good, it was our job not to screw it up, basically. I mean, right? It was so beautiful. there were some scenes, after a while, it became a love song to American cinema. I mean, Mushroom Samba is this amazingly funny episode that's a take on blaxploitation movies. And then you've got spaghetti westerns, you've got science fiction, Toys in the Attic. It was like directing Alien and 2001 mashed together with a Ganymede lobster.
How that tastes, Ed?
Yeah.
I always want to know how that tastes.
What do you think?
That more pudding.
Out of the
The lobster.
Ganymede is delicious.
Pudding!
But that was the other thing, is that they left us alone. People who are not being spoken about are Yutaka Maseba and Kevin Seymour. And they left us alone. I mean, it was one actor at a time, myself and the engineer, and that was it. It was like one of the most intimate experiences I've ever had. And we would take 2 weeks to do 3 episodes, and we would finish recording in about a week and a half, a little less. So I had 3 days to QC, just me and the engineer, and listen to every scene and be like, oh, do we have another take of that? And then I would do that with you guys too. I'm like, let's watch the scene back. Is there something you want to tweak? Is there what doesn't sound right to your ear? And it was just a love affair from the beginning. And I think because I had never directed before, I didn't know what I was doing, which is the secret to adulthood. We're all winging it, just so you know. And we wunged this one pretty good.
Thanks, Joe. You won't get good, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
So given the soundtrack is such a big deal with all the various genres, I got a question for all of you actually. What genre is your character?
Ooh. Oh. Julia's just a saxophone. Lonely, sad saxophone wrapped in black leather. And all she's doing is playing row, row, row your boat. Life is just a dream.
Wow. You wonder why we're together.
Oh no, we can see it clearly.
I said, down the blues, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a slow, sad song with a happy ending.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Sorry?
Yeah?
What genre?
I think that she's kind of a classic rock girl with some throwback roots that are kind of progressive, and I think she would put in buds today and just crank it and launch it, and just probably do a lot of dirty shadow dancing.
Could you give us an example?
Same thing, a twerker. Casket. Okay. Yeah.
You want to do a little demonstration with a little dirty dancing?
Well, that's another ticket. That's our late night panel starting at 11 p.m. today.
Next one, Cowboy Bebop Unchained.
Well, for me, I think, well, first of all, I think that the Bebop crew is like Jet's family. And so there's some sad times a lot of times, and I think the blues, he just said, I got some hard times going right now. And, but when the family comes back, he's happy again. And so I think he's kind of a jazzy blues kind of cat. Sometimes he gets his, we used to say, when you're looking good in your clothes, you look clean as a board of hell. You know? So he's got his little tam on, got his scarf working, and so he's kind of a jazzy cat, but with a little angle on the blues.
I'm more dirty blues, you're more
The
classic.
dirty blues, she's gonna do the dance to my dirty blues.
You know I'm gonna have to pay up at some point. Yes.
Do it, you know?
I just need the strength.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, oh, Edward. Because she's kind of, you know,
You're just a party.
she's just a party waiting to happen. I mean, would she be listening to Taylor Swift and like, or is she, and then like going, to her room and like conducting symphonies to, for herself. Or,
There's also that great piece of music that they used for the video game. That whenever I heard that, I was like, that's so Ed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would be annoying.
Old school Atari stuff.
The theme to Barney.
Yeah, Barney. As ever, she's innocent and fun, so I don't know what she would be, but she's pop. She's probably pop, but then I really think she probably listens to orchestrations and symphonies and is probably going over it in her head, and then she goes and she's a kid again.
She's bubblegum Mozart.
She's bubblegum Mozart.
That anime will be out next year.
Heard it here on TV.
So you brought this up a little bit, some of the different mashups and different things. So, and being one of the voices of Lupin, I couldn't help but notice all of the parallels, especially the boots. You do know about the design, the boots are actually Lupin's. There's also Alien references, Star Trek, Blade Runner. Which, do you guys have a favorite? Just one that just kind of stuck with you and really stuck out, tickled your fancy or made you think? Or one of those little homages to the past stories?
Oh, it was Toys in the Attic.
Toys in the Attic,
Yeah.
sure.
Toys in the Attic was so good. It was the episode where they're Ganymede rock lobster.
Yes.
Lobster.
Rock lobster. No.
Rock lobster. New song. And it was Alien in 2001. I love that shot of the fridge at the end, just slowly spiraling.
That was probably my favorite shot.
What was it? What's the lesson?
And the pudding.
No.
Never leave things in the fridge.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah. But it was also the most contained episode. It was just the cast. It was just the crew of the Bebop. And everybody had their lesson in life. And this was the lesson, starting with Faye, cheating Jet out of his shorts, literally, and then Ed has his and hers, and Spike and Jet. And I just loved that episode. Because you really got into the mind of the characters.
Yeah. Subtle ones too, with the reference to Bruce Lee, being like the water.
Oh, right.
Like the water. I love that. There's so many of those little nuances that were sprinkled in there. Watanabe-san, genius. Watanabe-san, if you're watching, thank you.
Oh my gosh. And Toshihiro Kawamoto-san.
Yes, thank you.
Can we come back?
Yeah, could we go prequel?
We're all going to Wendy's for coffee.
Right? Wait
Wendy,
a minute.
Wendy, aside from the attractive part of the character, I can't think of a character who's farther away from who you really are. She's so focused on the surface and the stuff, and you're much deeper individual than that. And what was it that you found in her that allowed you to keep her grounded and not kind of go off into the caricature of that, since she's so far away from how you conduct your life?
You know what it is, Tony. It's acting. And
Well, yes.
it's immersing
They don't.
yourself in that character. I mean, the truth is, it has very little to do with me, but everything that I could bring to it was integral to finding that journey. So really, I think it was her innate competence and just light, precise focus on her objectives. And she clearly was going to take care of herself no matter what first. And in doing so, she could help a few people out without anybody knowing it and not getting credit for it better. But really, it was just the fact that she was complicated and her cadence, the way she moves, I really work with characters often from the feet up. So it's like getting into her shoes and the rhythm of her strut and all of her exterior. It's her armor, I mean, she uses her sexuality much more so than her sensuality in a way that is always propelling her agenda. So it was very easy to sink into that. As an actor, you know, those are things that you look for in a character that you can use as anchors, and then take them from there, you know, into space.
Okay. So we got just one more round. Time for one more question. We're going to do just a quick lightning round, okay?
Okay.
Really quick.
You don't give short answers.
Favorite moment for your character or other character in the show? Just need one.
Okay, when, we go.
Jack-o'-lantern on the head movie.
Oh.
Anybody else got one?
When Jet goes back to Ganymede.
Oh, right.
Speak like a child when we find her backstory. Find out.
Not favorite, but it's poignant for me.
Oh.
Beginning of episode 1 all the way to the end of the series.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I just want to play us off a little bit. Let's give a big hand for Mary Elizabeth McGlynn.
Are we all turning around and hearing?
The house lights?
Can you pull up the
House
house
lights
lights?
so we can see it.
How cool is this?
Possible?
Is that possible?
I don't think
Turn up
For
the
the
house lights.
house lights?
There.